September 17th, 1995. 12 miles east of Johannesburg, South Africa, a police reservist is taking the day off to hunt rabbits in one of the vast fields called velds. Suddenly, the stench of decomposing flesh fills the air. Women's bodies at varying degrees of decomposition lay before him. 10 in all.
Some of them were quite fresh, and some of them were dehydrated, and some of them were skeletons.
Police arrive quickly and fan out over the area. They believe this killing field is the work of the serial killer they had been tracking for more than a year. At first, they had found victims one by one, but this discovery demonstrates that the killer has become more adept and more daring. The bodies of 30 women have now been found in similar fields from Johannesburg to Pretoria. The victims were all black and between the ages of 19 and 43. All had been strangled with articles of clothing, panties, bras, stockings. Leon Nel was one of the lead investigators on the case.
He used sticks to actually wind the stocking and or clothing around their necks.
The first body connected to the killer was found on July 16, 1994, outside of Johannesburg. Soon after, 2 more victims turned up. Superintendent Vinyl Viljoen began to see a pattern.
The scenes were similar to each other. We started looking into the fact that it can be a serial killer.
One young mother had her hands bound with her own brassiere. A few feet away was the body of her infant son. As the year wore on, police would discover a body every 2 weeks, then once a week, then 2 every week.
Yes, I'm very afraid. I can't even walk in the night.
Now, less than a year after the end of apartheid, black women were subject to a new form of tyranny.
I think he's making all the women scared, and then I don't feel very good about it. And when we go around in town or whatever, because we don't know where he stays, so I'm very scared and we don't know what to do.
Struggle to find that man. They must fight to get him.
The police can't cope with this type of criminal activity without the wholehearted support of the community. And we would like to appeal to the community once again to come forward with any portion of possible information.
So brutal were the crimes, President Nelson Mandela made a personal visit to the desolate killing field. Investigators had found DNA evidence and many leads, but no clear suspects.
We didn't know who we were looking for. It could be anybody.
It's a race against time to catch him before he kills another innocent person.
Then, while sifting through evidence, police investigator Leon Nel remembered a recent news story about a missing woman.
There was an article in the Star newspaper about a lady, Trifina Mokgotsi. She disappeared under very suspicious circumstances.
Nel wondered if Trifina could be another victim of the serial killer. He decided to question her co-workers. One of them remembered a man who had come to their workplace and offered Trifina a job just days before she disappeared. This matched stories told by the family members of other victims. But this time, Trifina's friend, Esther Malangu, remembered a name.
He told us that his Moses Sithole. He told us his name.
Nel ran a check with the name Moses Sithole and uncovered one man who had been convicted of rape. Police showed Sithole's picture to Trifina's co-workers, and they positively identified him. Detectives went to Sithole's home, but found that he had left his common-law wife, Martha, and his daughter, Brigitte, a few weeks before. Sithole seemed to be one step ahead of them. Investigators put Sithole's picture on the front page of newspapers all over the country.
Every day that he's out and walking around the streets of South Africa, it can be another female that fall victim to him. And it became an obsession to me to apprehend him as quick as possible, to stop him from killing another innocent person.
October 1995. South African police were on the trail of suspected serial killer Moses Sithole. They knew his name, but they had no idea where he was. Then on October 18th, after receiving a tip from Sithole's brother-in-law, detectives were finally able to arrest Sithole. The man suspected of murdering 37 women and 1 child was finally in custody. Esther Malangu, a friend of one of the victims, was relieved to hear the news.
The woman I'm working with, we were screaming, saying that that's it, they catch him at last. We're going to be safe now.
While Sithole awaited trial, a fellow inmate managed to secretly videotape an interview with him.
They offer you money? No. But you didn't want sex from them, you just wanted them?
No, I didn't go for, I was not in a holiday. I was cross, I was hurt, I was aggressive.
Sithole felt that he had been betrayed by women his whole life and that his hatred was justified.
When we try to understand a serial killer, or any criminal for that matter, things have to be looked at. How and where this person grew up.
Moses was the 4th child of Sophie and Simon Tangawira Sithole. He was born on November 17, 1964, in the South African township of Vosloorus. It was a time when the apartheid government controlled blacks by segregating them in isolated areas. Any dissent was met with extreme force. Many black leaders were jailed. As a youth, Moses Sithole saw resistance to this oppression turn violent.
The moment you wake up in the morning to the moment you lay down to sleep, it's this struggle against this government, this oppressive power, and it affects everything that you do in your life.
Black workers were forced to live in company housing near the factories and mines where they were employed. Moses was a bright and curious boy, but he had few opportunities for education. Life within his tin-roofed home was difficult.
He'd been abused by his mother, who he says was an alcoholic, from a stepsister that he says abused him, from being raped by a woman in his younger years.
Then, when he was 6 years old, Moses' father died. Because Simon Sithole was the sole provider, Sophie and her 6 children were evicted from their home. Moses spent the remainder of his childhood bouncing from one poorly run youth home to another. Sithole described these conditions more than 20 years later during his prison interview.
The treatment was bad, really bad. You had to be strong to survive.
Miserable, Moses escaped when he was about 8 years old and tried to return to his mother. He made his way home crossing vast velds and passing through shanty towns. But there was no joyous reunion. Instead, his mother sent the boy back to the orphanage.
Hurt has been my daily bread. Hurt has been my prayer. Every minute, every second, every day, every week, every month, and every year.
Because of a feeling of powerlessness, starts to fantasize about a way to obtain power.
When he was about 11, Moses was moved to yet another orphanage in KwaZulu-Natal.